Alright guys, so in this video we're going to be taking a look at Mike Tyson's abandoned mansion in Southington, Ohio. Kind of an obscure city, but yes, this mansion originally constructed back in the 1980s for Mike Tyson. I have to say I love the location of this mansion being just kind of in the middle of nowhere. I just like that vibe. Get yourself 2 or 3 acres. The values are low considering where you're building it. And this was around $1.1 million. At least that's what its perceived value is. Now, the actual mansion itself, I do think, is a bit tacky and a bit ugly looking at the exterior of it. But it does have a beautiful indoor massive pool and a few other things. I do have to say, I remember seeing this abandoned mansion in 2016. When I was younger, I was in high school. This one, 30 for 30, ESPN used to do these documentaries. And this one was called Chasing Tyson, and it was about Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. It was really well done. I don't even think you can find it anymore. I was trying to watch it, but I just couldn't find it. But I don't know how I looked it up, but I ended up looking up Mike Tyson's abandoned mansion, and I was just interested in it. So we're going to go through some of the photos, what's happened to it, and yes, it has been renovated into some type of, I guess you could say, semi-mega church. Now, these photos that you're looking at, you can see the vegetation is a little bit overgrown, but the pool is still there. The water is completely green, but it's not totally evaporated, probably in the early 2000s. The last year Mike Tyson lived in this house was 1999, so we can presume Tyson possibly lived in this house for about a decade. Obviously, it wasn't continuous living. He had many fights. He was traveling a lot, but this was one of his main mansions, at least in the 1990s. And of course, he was in jail in the 90s, so you would have to think, for multiple years, he wasn't even at this house, and they would have to just upkeep it. But just looking at some of the early photos of the deterioration of the massive pool room, I have to say, if you look at this house from an aerial view, the pool room takes up like half of the house. It is crazy how extensive this is. And it does look like there was a waterfall from the hot tub into the pool. Obviously, it's shut off at this point. You can see some of the plants overgrown and things like that. But this is like the best we've seen. There was a photo, and I was trying to find it, of the pool room in its prime, like in the 1990s. I'll have to see if I can search and actually find that. I mean, there's some decent natural light with some windows being let in and things like that. And then just taking a look at some of the other areas of the house, it's just a very strange design. This was designed back in the 1980s, but you've got different like marble floors mixed right next to carpet, and then some of the walls are rock and marble. It's just very strange. There is the kitchen. I always thought the kitchen was kind of weird. There's just a random TV built right into a brick wall. Like, how much was that used? Maybe once in its entire life. It's just impractical, There's another little area. Looks like a nice fireplace. Maybe that's like a family room area. Maybe in the basement. I don't know. That is the extensive master bathroom. You can see it looks like there's a steam room there on the right. And that's just another photo. Yeah, that must have been a steam room or maybe a shower or something like that. That is the basketball court, the private basketball court that Tyson had. Look at that design for the Grandmaster bath. I mean, it's a cool design with all the natural light looking out into, the peaceful woods and things like that. But getting into it and getting out of it, it's just not a very practical design. You have a high chance of slipping, I feel like. And then you do also have just the ceiling mirrors going all the way around. This is crazy. Like to have this much open space in a mansion, it's almost like a meeting area. And then there's a random staircase going up. But yeah, this was like one of the bigger rooms in the entire place that connected to the pool. And then it kind of looks like it was the movie room, but that's not that big of a screen. You would think they would make the screen a little bit bigger. I'm guessing just that's how they were able to fit it. And you can see lower through those doors, that is the pool room. So it's kind of like connected with the same type of wood and the same type of windows there. That is just the entrance. You can see Mike Tyson. That's not there anymore. It's since changed. And then there's a rare photo of it completely overgrown, the mansion overgrown. I do think the exterior of it looks pretty ugly. I mean, it's just like a weird design. I'm guessing that's probably a basement with two of those older TVs and then a bunch of like DVD players under that. And they probably had like a bigger built-in TV where that giant hole in the wall is. That's another photo. That's like the turret. Yeah, that design is just so bad. It's like a medieval turret castle type design. And you can see the one window. And you do have all of the stone going around there. And also it looks like maybe a little carport and maybe a balcony at that point completely overgrown. That is a shot probably of the basement with a bunch of mold, and that's a nasty looking image there, but you can just see, almost looks like some water tanks there to the far right in the way back, and it's a very dark image. And then that's like a relatively early image of the abandonment. Again, you can see just kind of the pool, some of the greenness, it getting overgrown, and then obviously this is way later. This was probably taken in like 2014 or 2015 because the water has virtually completely evaporated down pretty significantly to where it's only covering the deep end, and it is a massive pool. And you can see, I believe this is when they were starting to change the entire mansion when it was purchased to turn into a church, and they were destroying the hot tub and they had to destroy the entire pool room. These are just more photos. It looks like that's the main door. And then there's an interesting perspective shot of the exterior of the mansion as it's being reconstructed to be turned into a church. I think that's those windows, man, like the half circle windows, that's a brutal design. And that siding, yeah, when you get a mansion like this with cheap siding like that, you know, it kind of reminds me a bit of a McMansion a little bit, but those windows are brutal, and you have, you know, kind of a garage like underneath right there. And then another interesting thing that I found, number one, again, I just love like the location of this, the idea of building a mansion kind of in an obscure city. I think the perfect idea would to build a mansion in an obscure city on like 2 or 3 acres. But you're about 15 to 20 minutes away from a major city, so if you need to, you know, go shopping or go into the city, it's very easy. But you've got the great situation where it's cheap. It's not like you're building a mansion in a big city and it's going to cost a ton of money. So I think this is a good situation in terms of where this house was built. And you can see it also does have two, I don't know if those were man-made little ponds there, but you can see the mansion itself and the estate and how you go up to it with 2 ponds. That's some nice land. And then all the way back there, you can see there were the basketball court along with tiger cages. That's one of the famous things people were talking about. But there was also this little smaller, I don't know if this was Tyson's guest house or what. You can see if you pull into the estate and the land area, if you do a quick left, there's a parking and there's a little extra house there that was listed for $150K that has like 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms. Like it's its own little house. And I don't know, I just thought that was interesting, and probably a lot of people don't know about that. There was a little extra house right there. Here's a pretty sweet aerial shot of it. You can see how big the pool room is, and then that little connector, like that giant connector, that's called the TV room. So the TV room and the pool room, and there was this weird thing, I'm going to see if I can find the photo of like an ice cream, you know, stand or whatever, like right in the pool room. It's kind of interesting, but you can see those 2 areas taking up a massive amount, and then you do have the living room right in the front, probably right when you enter the front door, and then all of the bedrooms down there, and then there are garages, the tiger cages, and then also the basketball court out in the backyard as well. And then that is another interior shot of the kitchen. You can see the old style TV built into a brick wall. And then there is the updated shot. It looks like they've installed some bathrooms into the TV room. They've taken out that old TV and they've renovated it a little bit, but they have the exact same siding. They didn't change that at all. It's still that wood type deal. That's probably like the foyer area, and this has been renovated. So this is after the abandonment happened and they were able to renovate it into a church. But yeah, I find this estate very interesting. $1.1 million. It's definitely a big house. It was, you know, kind of cheaply built for sure. And, you know, the exterior of it with the rock going around combined with that siding, it's just, you know, very peculiar. You could see the estimates on it. So 6 bedrooms, 7.5 bathrooms, 22K square feet, Southington, Ohio, off the market. Its evaluation is 1.1, a little bit over $1.1 million for that home. But either way, that's just the story of Mike Tyson's abandoned mansion that he probably lived in for around 10 years, but I'm sure it wasn't a continuous stay there. And Tyson ends up losing it, and it sits for 15 years before it finally gets sold and reused as some type of mega church. It would certainly be interesting to visit. I believe they filled in the pool with concrete because that is a big area. That's what they probably did, but either way, that is just the current status and the story of Mike Tyson's abandoned mansion in Southington, Ohio. And then one more final thing that I wanted to mention here at the end. If you're interested in joining my Discord server, give me video recommendations maybe on potential abandoned places you want to see me do videos on, make sure you're joining the server. Link is in the description, guys.